Welcome back to another Bitcoin update. And I have to say, guys, this does not look good. So yesterday we closed the weekly candle, and while it was a green candle, the problem here is that we found resistance in the 200 weekly moving average. And I talked about this a few updates back, that the 200 weekly moving average could become resistance. And in this case, it means we have more downside to come. And that's why I put these targets here in yellow, the prices that I think Bitcoin could go, so around 12,000 and around 5,000 in the worst case scenario. If we get here, it would be an amazing opportunity. But at least the 12,000, I do believe we will eventually get there. Switching back to the daily candle, I want to trace this trend line where we are facing resistance. And unfortunately, Bitcoin could not even get to this resistance trend line, and things are already not looking good in the futures market. US futures are negative. We have inflation numbers coming this week. It will be on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern time, and people are expecting to see a high inflation, which means the Fed has to increase rates further than expected. At least that's what I think is going to happen. I do not think inflation is coming down anytime soon, and that is a big problem for stocks and also for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. Let me trace the line of support here. In the 4-hour chart, I will trace the Fibonacci to understand a little bit what is going on in the short term. So from this low to this high. And what we have here is that we are currently below the 382, which is not a really good sign if you are bullish here, and it might mean that we will retest this support trend line right around the 618 at 19,500. So we are seeing some resistance here. Bitcoin could not touch this trend line, and of course we have to see what will happen during the week. And in my opinion, this is a very tricky time to trade. I currently do not have any position long or short because this is very unpredictable. We know that on Wednesday we will have US inflation data, so I do not expect any big movement here to the upside or to the downside. And if we do see something like that, I do not think it's gonna last very long because it will really depend on the Wednesday numbers. So that's something to keep in mind. If we don't know the numbers, what is the point of looking at the Bitcoin chart right now? Well, the whole point of this is to prepare you in case of a big upside or a big downside. And I am tending to the downside here, unless inflation suddenly comes down. I mean, it could happen. I do not expect it, honestly. I do want to mention also that this volume here, it looks like a crazy candle here on the volume, but this is fake. We are here on Bitcoin USDT on Binance. This is the spot market. And what happened here is that Binance reduced the fees to 0 on certain Bitcoin trading pairs. And that's why this is just wash trading. That's a problem with 0 fees. The volume is not real as before, because if you are paying the fees, you won't have wash trading. So I really don't want Binance to keep 0 fees for the whole exchange. You know, even CZ made a poll about that on Twitter. I do not want to see that. So I do hope only on Bitcoin pairs it will be 0 fee. Anyway, let's talk about the targets here. I want to use Fibonacci, especially on the more or less short term, you could say. So from this recent high of 48,000 all the way down to the 17,500. So these are the bullish targets. If we can break above this trend line, this would be very bullish, and we can fully expect a recovery to the 29,300 if the inflation numbers are much better than expected, so inflation much lower than the market is expecting. What are the chances? Not very high, to be honest. And something I like to do is to play around with the Fibonacci. So for example, if we trace it like this, we would find a Fibonacci target around 10,300. We see a lot of points touching here. So I think it makes sense. This target would not be very out there. I think it's very realistic for us to find 10,300 or at least 12,000. And I do have a bias more to the downside right now because of the situation of the world. Things are getting really bad. If you see what's happening in Sri Lanka, in Argentina, in Germany, Netherlands, and in the US, there are so many problems pretty much anywhere you look. And unless they start printing money like crazy and giving money to the people, I honestly do not see how stock prices and crypto prices can simply recover without injecting money into the population. And we are reaching a point where there is not enough food going around in certain countries. And it will only get worse from here. In the European Union, they are preparing to completely stop Russian gas. If you think about the consequences of that, it is catastrophic for the economic lookout. So no doubt this will have a worldwide impact in the next few months. If I had to have a position here, I would prefer to have a short position and buy back after the final capitulation here. With big volume, I want to see a big real volume. By the way, if you still don't have a Binance account, you can sign up with the link below. 20% off your Binance trading fees for life, plus a $50 welcome bonus. So these are my thoughts for the beginning of the week. Be careful out there. See you in the next Bitcoin update.